Greetings, Newton Conover City Schools families. This is Aaron Gabriel, Superintendent, and I want to provide you folks with a few pertinent updates as we round the corner and are heading into the home stretch of the 2021 school year. While 2021 has definitely been challenging in its own way, I'm definitely glad to have 2020 behind us. While it has been a unique past 18 months, it hasn't been short of a few things to celebrate. Our high school graduation rate during the 1920 school year had us ranked still in the top 10 of the state of North Carolina, which we have been for most of the past 8 years, which is something to be very, very proud of, and a testament to the way our staff work with our students and the kind of kids that we have in our system. Ms. Clemens is still the reigning North Carolina Principal of the Year, and she's, of course, the principal at Shuford Elementary School. Newton Conover City Schools recently was awarded a $10 million construction grant from NCDPI, which will allow us to build a much-needed two-story wing to replace the current one at Newton Conover High School. We have 30 National Board Certified teachers in Newton Conover, several others who are completing the process, which is a large number for a district our size. We're extremely proud of these folks and just of the quality of instructors we have, period, in this school system. Our finance department was recently awarded an excellence in financial transparency and practices from N-CCS, which is, again, something that we're very, very proud of because it shows we're making good use of the taxpayer dollar. We've also had a couple celebrations from this past winter sports season, as our Newton Conover Middle School boys basketball team went undefeated during this COVID-shortened season. Unfortunately, this year in middle school athletics, there are no championships, but I could assure you that if there had been, this team would have won it, as they beat the teams they played by over 30 points every game they played. So they were a lot of fun to watch. So hats off to the coaches and the young men for the way they represented their school. And our Newton Conover High School Lady Red Devils basketball team won their third consecutive conference championship and advanced to the sectional semifinals in a very compressed playoff bracket. So very proud of these young ladies and of this program and the rich tradition that it represents. As you may have heard from the governor's most recent announcement, middle and high school students will have the opportunity to attend school under Plan A guidelines, face-to-face, as our elementary school and Conover School students have been doing since early November. Elementary and Conover School students will remain on the school calendar that they have been following. Our middle and high school students will have teacher work days on Monday, April 12th and Tuesday, April 13th, when we're coming back from Easter break. And we'll begin the option of 4 days per week face-to-face on Wednesday, April 14th. So again, make sure that you mark your calendars that their first day on the new Plan A approach will be Wednesday, April 14th. Fridays will remain a remote learning day for our middle and high school students. The updated version of the Strong Schools North Carolina Public Health Toolkit, most recently updated on March 24th, has been released, and I want to share just a few components of this toolkit that will bring change to our operating procedure that we have used since the beginning of the school year. There are 3 pages that begin sections in particular that I want to call your attention to. First, page 4, which outlines the symptoms, the updated symptoms that are considered connected with COVID. And that's on page 4. Page 6, which highlights the Plan A safety protocols for you to review. And then page 13, where it indicates that the Division of Health and Human Services for the state of North Carolina does not recommend daily symptom screening for all students at school entry, as we have in the past. So basically what this means is the temperature checks before students are able to enter the buildings in the morning will no longer occur once we return from Easter break. So that will be one change. And again, this is from CDC and DHHS guidance that we are making this operational switch. In all the days that we've been in school to this point in the year, there are less than 10 occurrences where student temperatures were caught before entering the school building. Typically, if a student wasn't feeling well, it would yield itself later in the day. Because the amount of staff manpower this task requires for the last quarter of the school year, we're going to kind of purposely abandon the practice. As such, though, it is imperative for parents that you screen your students to make sure that they do feel healthy based on the symptoms, as I said, that are outlined on page 4 of this toolkit, and also that they are not running a fever of 100.4 or higher. We will still be following the face covering requirements, sanitation practices, and the reduced social distancing requirements when feasible, which is 3 feet. But again, the key word is when feasible. But again, the change relative to the morning temperature screening will go into effect returning from Easter break on Monday, April 12th at all levels. As we round the corner going into this final quarter of the year, summer will be up next. There are several bills that impact education that are currently being considered by the General Assembly and Governor Cooper. One in particular is House Bill 82, which requires that summer learning opportunities be offered for all students grades K-12. The kinks are kind of being worked out now, but there will be an hours requirement, and we're working through some of those details kind of in preparation for waiting for the final verdict about what's required. We don't know what impact it will actually have on summer learning. We don't know if there will be a Plan C option as part of the summer program, which is full remote, and really how many parents will desire to have a virtual option for a child going beyond this summer. And projecting forward into the fall, similarly, we really, what we do know is we'll likely have some sort of face-to-face option, and we'll likely have some of the safety protocols that we're currently following. To what degree and what kind of local decision making we have over this, that is still remains to be seen. What we do not know is if there will be a Plan C option going forward in the fall. The strong assumption is that the answer is yes, but we still haven't really gotten that directive yet or that information. We also don't know how many parents will desire the virtual option for their child going forward. And then similarly, what safety protocols will remain going into the upcoming school year. All right, this will be the part of the presentation where I will definitely want you to pay special attention because there will be action required on the part of our families. I want you to be very thoughtful as you complete this survey, and I want you to complete one for each Newton Conover City School student in your household. There's a lot of planning that'll have to take place to put together programs that can address student learning gaps that were made worse by the pandemic, that can re-engage students with learning who are on grade level, and to build staffing plans to meet the above goals for our summer remediation and summer enrichment. We'd like to know, for students who are on grade level, what are things that they would like to further explore to help re-engage them in school. And so we're going to be asking you some questions about that to help us be very, very intentional in our planning. We also, relative to the upcoming school year, we want to know what mode of learning, whether it's face-to-face or remote, that you prefer for each of your students that are Newton Conover City Schools kids. And so it is very important that these decisions be made thoughtfully and with the understanding that your student will likely remain in that mode of learning for at least the first semester of the upcoming school year. One among many of the layers that made this school year so difficult was the staff had to teach students in 2 to 3 different modes in the same class block, where teachers would have an A cohort, a B cohort, and then a fully remote learning cohort all together. And there are different methods in which you would utilize to teach those different groups. And so it's our goal as a school system to really have teachers more strategically assigned to either face-to-face learning or remote learning, as the case may be, so that they can build plans that are focused really on that respective mode of learning and group of kids. And this really can only be done if families fill out this survey for each student that is under their care. We will keep this survey active through April 16th. So that's the Friday we return from Easter break. So you've got basically 2 weeks to be thinking about this and to make some sort of tentative decision to help us in our planning. And if you have questions, please reach out to the administrator to your students' schools, or you can reach out to my office for assistance. I want to thank you in advance for your assistance with this important bit of data collection. The survey itself, probably take less than 5 minutes per kid at most, with most of the thinking being done on the front end. But I do appreciate your thoughtful completion of this, as we really, really need this so we can plan and then make sure that we are ready for the upcoming school year. And as a parting note, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that maybe you've never thought much of, and that's scars. Scars can be ugly, unsightly, and maybe even embarrassing. They can be things that we try to hide and cover up so others don't see our imperfections, or at some point that we were less than whole. COVID has left some visible scars. We're still following safety protocols, and some families now have an empty seat at the dinner table. Families who have no livelihood because their company closed due to COVID closures. But it's also left some invisible scars. The confidence that many of us had in our immune systems to fight off common illnesses, infections, and viruses has been destroyed. The security of a job or a career has in many cases been eroded due to forced layoffs and closures due to COVID restrictions. The sense of normal daily life is something that seems to be more myth than reality. All of these scars will last far longer than the virus did. However, I've started viewing scars differently. Instead of seeing the ugly remnants of a surgery, bike accident, scrape from athletic competition, I've started reminding myself of two things. I survived and I'm healed. While scars remind us of what led to the cause of that scar, they also remind us we survived the incident and have been healed so that we're now stronger than we were before the trial or trauma in our lives. Just as the scar is tougher than the areas around it that were not impacted, so we are going to be tougher as a result of the trials and challenges of life that we've gone through and survived and healed up from. It's all in how we choose to view the scars, as a reminder of trauma or as a reminder of survival. It's up to us to decide which. Thank you, guys. In Newton Conover City Schools, together we rise.